The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
1420 Sports Bar Podcast. 4 beer of sports talk and a whole lot more. Join host Brent Radlinsky as he bellies up to the bar and gets the conversation going that'll make you think you're sitting in your local watering room. It's sports, beer, and shenanigans. So sit back, grab a few beers, and let's get into it. The 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, 4 beer sports talk and a whole lot more for this 15th day of March 2025. Today's show, as always, is brought to you by SeatGeek.com, the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420SEAT at SeatGeek.com today and save yourself $20 on your first purchase over there at SeatGeek. Remember, part of the Belly Up Media Network. Go to BellyUpSports.com for all the great articles. I should have one up later on today from a show that I did earlier this week, talking about the great sport of baseball and how it's not as dead as people think that it is, and it's actually on quite the resurgence. But I'll talk with my guest today from Brutally Honest Sports, pretty much a regular here at the Sports Bar, Aaron Riley. Aaron, how's it going, man?
Good, yeah, man. Just getting closer to baseball season, so I'm excited. It's the weather's finally turning around here too, so it's this is kind of my favorite, not for March Madness, but this is my favorite time of the year.
You're talking about March Madness. They're playing the conference championships right now. We're having we'd be done when the weekend's over, and it was many moons ago when people would tune in to Duke, North Carolina, no matter what, and it was on last night, and I don't think 8 people watched across the country. It's funny how that's all. I mean, I shouldn't say 8. It's obviously very big in North Carolina still, but it definitely doesn't have the same juice that it used to.
Yeah. I mean, basketball for me when I was younger, I definitely tuned in a lot more. But like you said, I mean, Duke, North Carolina's comparable almost to like Yankees, Red Sox as far as hatred within those schools. And, it's like Ohio State, Michigan for football. Yeah. So I don't really hear much about it, honestly. Like, people don't hype it up like it used to be. So, I mean, March Madness will still get all the eyeballs. And it's not like I completely dislike it. It's just it doesn't have that. Like, the college football playoff to me is like 1,000 times more exciting. Yeah. But, to each their own. It's just like you said. Yeah, I honest to God didn't even know they were playing last night. So that kind of and I'm in the States. So that kind of tells you how much pop that really gets anymore.
I spent Friday night, sat down here in the tavern, turned on the TV, and there was Jim and E-Man talking football and everything. And Jim was Jim, obviously the fan of the Van on Cigar and Sports last night. A lot of fun watching them, getting them back on a Friday night. And old Jimbo, he was a little bit fired up last night. I don't know if it's because of the rumors of certain Mr. I didn't want to talk about him at all ever again in my life, but it's just kind of the gift that keeps on giving for podcasters. But we'll get into the baseball talk in a second here. But Mr. Aaron Rodgers, Mr. Rodgers' neighborhood there's rumors abound that he might be making his way to Steeltown to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. When I first heard that, my instant reaction was, I wonder what Jim's going to say about this. What's the vibe out there in your part of the world with the rumors of Aaron Rodgers might be wearing the black and gold?
Yeah, I got a couple close friends that are Steelers fans, and I kind of always know what's going on just because I live in Pennsylvania, and they're always talking to me about it. So it's kind of mixed reviews. It's the guy can still kind of play, but he's not what he used to be. My argument is kind of like, well, Aaron Rodgers, he was supposed to be the savior with the Jets. You saw how that ended up. They had a great defense when he came in. Guess what? He gets the head coach fired. The defense goes away. So the guy, I mean, I don't think the Steelers would give him the keys to the franchise like the Jets. I mean, the Jets pretty much said, hey, here's the team, whatever coach you want, this, that, and the third. And you saw that panned out. It was worse than when they had Zach Wilson. It was worse when they had these other quarterbacks that are lesser than Rodgers from that standpoint. So the vibe I'm getting is like, I don't know if they're really sold on Russell Wilson at this point, but they don't necessarily think Aaron Rodgers is the saving grace either. They're kind of in purgatory, I think, a little bit. They added a lot of pieces and they've gotten better, but the quarterback position is, like we talk about, it's probably the most important position in sports. they still don't have that figured out, and I still don't think in this offseason they're going to completely figure it out. So, yeah, I mean, they go like 10-7 every year. They might be 11-6 next year. I just don't know. And that's kind of like best case scenario. I don't think they're a Super Bowl team with Rodgers. Maybe, but he failed how many times in Green Bay? So in a lesser NFC at the time. So
Like that's my kicker too. I mean, if you're gonna have a guy that might get you one more win, why pay somebody $40 million? Just get me or you to do it for half the price. And I'll do 20. That's no problem here. That's just my opinion on that. I just really think that we should that the Steelers should maybe yeah, you hate to say it, and Jim alluded to that this morning on his show, is that eventually they got to be thinking, you don't want to say rebuild, but this regroup thing they do year in, year out just isn't working. And to pay these quarterbacks, and we talk about it ad nauseum here, you and I especially, it's for what? Like for what to go 9-8? Like for what? If this 40-year-old man, 40 plus years old now, had only got the one championship, yeah, MVP, well, on and on it goes. But is he going to guarantee you? I tell you what, Aaron, I guess if you don't have a starting quarterback, it's one of those things. But at 40 plus million bucks to not win, what's the point? Like, what? Go out and get a guy, draft a guy, sign a guy. Like you remember Kenny Pickett was supposed to be the next coming of Christ, coming out of Pittsburgh, out of Pennsylvania, wherever he was from, and it just never happened. Maybe they should have held on to him, or Pickett should have stuck around, or whatever. It's crazy to think that you're going to give a guy that much money, plus the headaches that come up. And that's the biggest thing for me. The headaches that probably are going to come along with it, because the guy just won't shut his yap. That's just not who he is. That's who he is. Like, he's 40 plus years old. You don't change your stripes overnight. The headaches that would come with Rodgers, I don't know, man. Like that just seems to be a lot. And then my second thought about this was, how do these rumors come about? Like, who starts them? How, like, is it the Rodgers camp that starts them, or is it like, hey, just say this? Because it just seems odd out of nowhere. You go, okay, let's go from Russell Wilson to Aaron Rodgers. Are we any better? No. So is it just the Rodgers camp maybe starting these rumors to drum up some interest? Because his other options apparently to go to the Giants. Go be on a shitty team once again. It took me 7 minutes to swear this morning. That's good, but I guess it's that. You go then. Like, if your only other option is to play for the New York freaking Giants, have at her, man. You can't be that valuable of an asset or a commodity.
No, you're exactly well. And the thing is, like, I look at, yeah, it's kind of like system and fit and everything else. Like, okay, you think you can bring in this veteran guy and win games, and that's like that's the mindset, I think, of some of these GMs, or maybe it's to put like asses in the seats or whatnot. It took me 8 minutes there, so
yeah.
It's the whole like the Falcons. They went out and got Kirk Cousins, like just I think that was the offseason last year. And the guy's never won anything. Like he's he's flirted with the NFC Championship. I don't even think he's been to that. With Washington, he didn't do much, and then in Minnesota, I think he flirted with the NFC Championship. They go out and spend $40 million on Kirk Cousins, a guy that's never gotten it done. And it's like, what makes you think bringing him in here is going to change things? Like, Atlanta doesn't have a track record of a lot of success, a lot of stability, that type of thing. And then you bring in a guy and I get it, they drafted Penix, who's supposed to be, like, I understand why they did that. You bring in Kirk Cousins, kind of mentor him. It's just like you spent 40 million, like sheets, like you would say there, and for what? Like, that's the whole thing. For what? Like, I some of these guys, you take a flyer on. Sure, that's different. Like Russell Wilson, Steelers took a flyer on him. The Broncos paid him like 40 million. The Steelers paid him like $1 million. So it's like whatever. But like, I don't understand if you're going to bring in like Rodgers, for example, in this situation. Yeah, you want the best quarterback in this season to give you the best opportunity to win. But even still, like, he hasn't done it in so long. You're spending a ton of money for one season. The negatives to me probably outweigh the positives, because sure, they're going to convince themselves that he can get them over the promised land and take them to the Super Bowl and stuff. But you saw what happened with the Jets. I mean, the team is in disarray now. Like the team, he walked into that situation and made the team worse going forward than it was before he got there. the coach, they had a great defense. They don't have a good defense anymore because they fired the coach. They certain players wanted out of there because Rodgers probably pushed them out of there. It's kind of like LeBron in basketball. Sure, he makes the team better, but then half the team wants to leave or he forces them out because he's ultimately the GM. I don't think the Steelers would do that, but I just that's the thing. Like, are you making yourself a Super Bowl contender bringing in one of these guys, or is it a stopgap until you figure it out? I don't think wasting the time on one of these guys, year after year after year. Like, I just don't know what the if the end goal is the Super Bowl. I don't see how they kind of convince themselves that's going to happen. I just don't get that part.
No, I'm with you on that. Like, you got to have some integrity, some honesty to yourself and to your franchise and to your fan base, and saying, okay, because fans, like especially like longstanding Steelers fans, they're not stupid, right? And you go, are we any closer? And I think a lot of fans, a lot of teams would be, okay, let's mail it in for a year, you know. Let's mail it in. Like, we're not going to win. We need the second coming of Patrick Mahomes to make this thing a success. We just don't have the horses right now. We just don't. We haven't for a long time. We haven't done anything for a long time, and so maybe it's just time to reset things a little bit and like just like set it. Like, it's every sport. If you just make the playoffs, and then you're out. Like, let's say in hockey, you just make it every year. It eventually catches up to you, and you're just not good enough. And then you're getting the 16th overall draft pick, and might as well be the 50th guy. Really, after top 5 guys, then what is it? It's just a crapshoot. So I just think that having some honesty towards yourself and your fan base, and maybe lowering the ticket prices for a year or something wouldn't be the worst idea. That's probably something that every franchise should look at doing. Actually, it's not like that's a like would you take a like if you say the Eagles or the Phillies? Let's say the Phillies. Year in, year out, they're right there. And then they say, you know what? We ain't winning. Like, we have a shot this year. We have our window starting to close. Let's say 2 or 3 years down the road, Bryce Harper's on his last legs because he's not getting any younger. Like, the glory days of like when Harper first took the scene, and I can't remember what year it was, but that's a lot of years ago now. Like, he's been around for a few years. And let's say if the Phillies said, you know what? We're not doing it. We don't have the horses. We're just not going to do it. Would you if the ownership group came out and said, you know what, we're going to trade this guy, get rid of that guy because we're not, and flat out have the honesty of the fan base say we're not good enough, but we're going to lower ticket price this year. We're going to save some money so next year we can jump into the thing and jump in both feet again. Would you accept that as a fan if the ownership groups come and said, you know what, we ain't good enough? Let's lower ticket prices, and don't do it when the season's over and say, yeah, like, do it before the season even starts.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to go about things. And like you said, I mean, at that point, you're kind of letting the fans in on the plan. Like, a lot of these franchises, it's like we talk about it ad nauseum, right? Like the Pirates, they don't have a plan. Like these teams that have no, and I even think an AL team, in your division there, Baltimore, I look at them and it's like, okay, they keep flirting with winning the division, but they're out in the first, wild card round. They haven't won a playoff game in the last 2 years. They've been in the wild card round the last 2 years, no playoff wins. They let Santander walk to a division rival there in the Blue Jays. That's a team where it's like the fan base has to be upset, in my opinion, because okay, you're close, right? You're close. You keep knocking on the door. It's not easy to knock on the door when you got the Yankees, Red Sox, Rays, and Blue Jays in your division, and yet you let a guy like Santander who hits 35 bombs a year walk out the door. You don't re-sign some of these pitchers that have been effective for you. It's just like, are you in, or are you out? That's the thing. Like, you can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out to a fan base, I think, because when you're close, it's like, okay, the fan base is going to expect, let's at least put an effort in. Let's not just, okay, we're good enough. Okay, we're good enough. Okay, we're good enough. Like, I talk with my buddy Trajan about the Brewers all the time. They maximize what they get. They're kind of like the NL Rays to a certain degree. They maximize what they have, but when you're close, like, you win the division almost every year, and then for what? Like, when you don't have that upper level, you go play the Dodgers, you go play the Phillies in the NL, the Mets, the Braves, like one of these powerhouse teams, and it's like, how can you compete with that? So like you said, I mean, I think letting your fan base know, hey, we're kind of short on talent, or we're kind of short on star power here. We need to wait a year. But like there's a plan in place where the fans can see, okay, they're actually trying. It's not just like we're okay with being decent. Like that's the problem, I think, with a team like the Orioles, a team like the Brewers. Like the fan bases are like, okay, we're making the playoffs. That's a good thing. How long does that really last for you? From a mindset of like, I'm looking forward to this season again. Like, sure, if you love baseball, you love baseball, but as a fan, are you genuinely excited to see how far your team goes when you kind of know the writing is on the wall? That's
It was kind of funny. All of a sudden, the Yankees Steinbrenner made a statement this week, and I was shocked. I could not believe what I was reading. Does he like this guy? Because at first I was like, I've always been a Steinbrenner fan because he, like we said before, he's both feet in. He spends a lot of money to not win every year in, year out, gives the fans a chance to win. But all of a sudden he's crying wolf a little bit on his side of things. I don't know if you heard this, but it was on WFAN. I think I'll read it. It's difficult for most of us owners to be able to do the kind of things that the Dodgers are doing. Um, so is it just the Dodgers and everybody else now? Are the Yankees trying to pretend that they're the Pittsburgh freaking Pirates now? Like to say that it's hard for us to do what the Dodgers are doing. You spend 300 million year in, year out. Like, are you throwing in the white flag already too? Like, it's just for these. Like, yeah, not everybody has the resources that the Dodgers do, but the Yankees kind of do. Not maybe like the same number of zeros behind the bank account when it's all said and done, but they're still the freaking New York Yankees. And I know the Dodgers, like it's been said before, like the Dodgers are both feet in, like you said earlier. They're both feet in. They're going for it year in, year out, and they give their fan base a reason to believe. They give free agents a reason to come there. They give their farm system all the assets in the world they could possibly do. Is it just what Steinbrenner said? Is this just the Dodgers world and everybody else just living in it now?
That is, to me, I mean, if I'm sitting there as a Yankees fan, like that is blasphemy in my opinion, because
Complete.
like you said, you're the New York Yankees. Like that is the most storied franchise in baseball, whether you like it or not. That's just, being honest. And, I know the Yankees are more, since, Steinbrenner's father passed away, they're more corporate run. I think they're more like investor driven in how they operate and stuff like that. But I mean, there's so much to say that the Dodgers have, the upper hand financially. Like, I really think you're splitting hairs there, if anything, because if you're the New York Yankees, you can go find money. Like, if you absolutely, and the fact that the matter is, like, Yes is one of the biggest networks in sports, like, if not the biggest in baseball. I guarantee it's bigger than the Dodgers network, just based on that. So, I call BS completely on that, because they have so much money. Maybe they aren't as willing to go over a luxury tax like the Mets are, or like the Dodgers might be. But if they really were like, hey, in the 2024, or excuse me, 2025 offseason, we're gonna be the best team in baseball. There's no doubt in my mind they could have been. They could have, like, whoever went to the Dodgers, right? I can't remember at this point, but like they could have went and got Freddie Freeman a couple years ago. They could have went and got Harper when he was a free agent. They could have went and whoever, Ohtani. If they really, really wanted to, there's nothing stopping unless the player says I don't want to go there. Then you can't blame the Yankees. Outside of that, like that's, come on, man. Like, don't. And the fact that he's trying to say the Dodgers are like the cream of the crop organization. Like, okay, what are you then? Are you chop lit? Like, if I'm
Yeah.
a
Are
Yankee,
you all of a sudden? Are you, like I said? Are you all of a sudden the Pirates?
the second
Like, and
fiddle, yeah. Are you the second fiddle to
like
like?
for him to make
Come
that
on,
kind of a statement, but call like being the little brother now, like
yeah.
come on, like are you basically saying we're not going to win this year? Like is that his way of doing that? So, yeah, we just can't do it. We got a few injuries. We can't spend any more money. And Jim's alluded to it on the Fan of the Van podcast a few times about like how are you out of money? Like how are you out of money? Is there a gambling habit or something going on there? Is something that we don't know? Like it's like I don't know. Like it's but for him to try to group himself in a lower tier of owners, yeah, okay. The Dodgers are one, but you're not. It's not like you're a 5 or a 6. You're probably a 1A. Like it's to say that you're to group yourselves with the Oaklands of the world and the Tampas of the world, because that's what it sounds like to me. And it's just bad optics, not just for Yankee fans to be a little bit pissed off, but I bet you now other fan bases are laughing at this guy saying, who the hell is this guy? Like, what the hell is he talking about? Like,
Well,
yeah, the Dodgers are doing it, but you know what? The Dodgers have also won, what, 10 consecutive National League West titles? Like, you have to spend money, but if you spend money, you can throw money at anything you want. And the Yankees they haven't won anything. I've been to one World Series in how many years? So is spending money one thing, but spending money right is another thing. And there's I don't know. It was to me, it was really bad optics as a Yankee fan to hear Steinbrenner already pushing the envelope to next year. All right, well, let's give up. And I don't think the Yankees are that bad right now. I don't know if you caught my show with Ryan the other day. We had like it's going to be okay. Like at the very, it's going to be okay. Like, do we settle for okay? No, but okay isn't that bad. Like they're a win here, win there. You go and maybe sign a Sandy Alcantara or something. Who knows? Like, you just don't know. And for this jackass owner to be saying this, it kind of pisses a guy off a little bit. You're like, what? You know, it's crazy. Like the Dodgers, yeah, they're probably going to win the division again. Are they have starting pitching up and down, but you're one elbow away from the whole thing going for shit. And that's the fact. You're one elbow away. Like the Yankees are, like they went and got freed, so that kind of doesn't usurp it. But I don't know. You can't just give up. Like it's ridiculous.
well, and the last thing, like that would be like, if you're, you're running the Lethbridge Bulls there, and you like fans aren't showing up, and you come out with a statement like, well, I guess we're just not going to sell that many tickets this year. I just don't know. Nobody at the face of a company or that gets a platform to speak should ever I just putting that out to the fans is like, I just, maybe he expects, he's like, well, it's the Yankees. It's the NY, people are going to show up no matter what I say. So I guess like he can go off of that. But like just saying that to a fan base before a season even starts, I just don't understand. Like you said, it's horrible optics. It's like you couldn't have worded that worse, in my opinion. And it's so negative. And the thing is, like you said, it'll be fine. I think the American League is kind of wide open. We don't know what like the American League West will look, or the American League West, a lot of it, right? Like we don't know what Baltimore, how good are they really going to be? Even the AL East, the Red Sox, you expect to be a little bit better with Crochet and stuff like that. But bringing in Bregman, but like, are they that good? Like, I just don't look at the AL as like it's tremendously hard to push through the AL this year. I mean, we'll see how it plays out. We've seen crazier things, maybe like the Texas Rangers or something get back, but I just that's just so weak to me. You suffer some injuries, yes, already, and the Yankees are kind of. It seems like they always catch the injury bug for whatever reason that is. I don't know why.
Maybe they should look at that.
That's right? Yeah. I mean, the thing is like
maybe
you said,
there's an internal problem. Steinbrenner, idiot.
Yeah. But like, going to your last point there, to answer your question, are they spending enough money, or are they spending it the right way? Both those things. I think they definitely try. I mean, they go out and get Bellinger, but they get a lot of guys that are kind of like not per se washed up, but like not in their prime anymore. Like they could have went and got
their career.
Yeah, like if I'm I get the Cody Bellinger thing. I think he'll, like you said on your show, I think he has probably a pretty good year. He's a lefty bat with some power. The short porch and Yankee Stadium plays to him pretty well. Now, will he be Soto? Probably not. I mean, but you knew that going in. You don't spend as much money on him. But like, you look at third base. Like, why didn't they make an effort to go get Bregman? If you're really trying to go for it, right? That's my thing with the Yankees. Are you satisfied with competing for a World Series, or like going into the season, all things considered, I still looked at that lineup like there's some glaring holes because the Tin Man Stanton's going to be out for at least 40 to 60 games every year. That's a guarantee. Like third base, you didn't sure that up. Like I said, the Red Sox go get Bregman. That could have been the Yankees. Left field has been, I mean, they've been rotating how many left fielders the last couple of years. Not to say they have a bad team. They definitely don't. I think I'll be surprised if they don't come out of the AL, even with the injuries that the pitching staff, the bullpen's been really good the last, however many years, like forever. It's just like those glaring holes are like, okay, why are there that big of holes out there? That if you're the Yankees, why do you have like liabilities playing a couple different, DJ LeMahieu, how many times have they tried to see what he has left? Like the guy's been done for 3 or 4 years now. Like it's just you're
When
kind
it's
of
over, it's over.
spinning
Like
your
and
wheels.
then
Yeah.
you talk about guys that are on the twilight of the career, like Goldschmidt. What are you
Yeah.
gonna get out of him? Like he's
It's like Josh Donaldson when they brought him in. It's
yeah,
like
it's like he could slip at any time and fall in the shower and crack his hip like old people do. Trust me, I know. But yeah, it's yeah, I just don't know. Like and then like you have to and baseball's so tough because you don't get many guys, a few more than before, but more on the pitching side of things. Like with hockey and with basketball and with football, guys come right out of college and sometimes right out of high school, and they can make an impact in professional baseball, whereas in professional sports and baseball they don't. Right, so you don't know how many guys what you're going to get out of these guys, and building through the draft it's all fine and dandy, but like now guys are going into their second and third Tommy Johns by the time they're done college. So you just don't know what you can and how you build out of the draft. But like you talk about the Red Sox getting Bregman. Are they okay? I think the Red Sox are a better team this year. But what Bregman are you getting? Like he's not a young kid anymore either. All of a sudden, right? So like it's great. Like but like the Dodgers kind of seem to have found a magic formula where they reload every year and they're right there every year, and they have probably 14 starting pitchers that guys could jump in the lineup, and like you can never have too much starting pitching, and that's what and there's just it's such a fine line because like I said, like Tommy John's a thing. Like I know in the Bulls this summer we have 2 or 3 guys that are already on their Tommy Johns, and they're only 20 years old. Like and it's just a matter of them it's just a matter of when, right? Not if. And it's just crazy how that all goes about. And you look at like it's everybody says like the Mets are guaranteed to win X amount of games. They're probably a World Series contender and blah blah. They're still the Mets. Like they're still the Mets, right? They're going to find a way to met it, they're in a division with the Phillies, who were just as good as anything. They're in a division with Atlanta, who probably pissed it away last year, but they're going to be better this year. And like the Mets aren't guaranteed for anything. And like you think about they have Clay Holmes, their opening day starter. Clay Holmes was a Yankees relief guy last year. So how good are the Mets, right? So for like it just goes back to Steinbrenner making these bloody comments, and then so you just give up. Like it's and it's frustrating because you see some teams that you talk about. I don't know what the Sacramento A's now. Is that what they're called?
yeah,
Like at least they kind of went out and made some deals. Like they went and got a third baseman that used to play for the Yankees. I still thought he should have been there with Gio Urshela. He's better than anything they got right now. And then they went out and signed Luis Severino. Is he worth that much money? Probably not. But you know what? If the Oakland A's or the Sacramento A's or the Athletics, whatever the hell they're called this week, if they can go out and sign and get some guys, and why weren't the Yankees going back that full well knowing they didn't have, or whoever going out and grabbing a Severino? Like why aren't the Milwaukee Brewers going out and grabbing him when he's obviously got a little bit in the tank? Because if the A's were able to give him 25 million or whatever it was, everybody else had the opportunity to do it too. Like I just like we a couple months ago now where we said like these teams are all right there, but what does ownership, what does management, and what do fan bases call a successful season? I'll bet you if you ask the three groups, you'll get 3 different answers. What's a success? Like Baltimore, is that a successful season making the playoffs? So you get two more games than the Chicago White Sox, who lost 122 games last year, or 121 or whatever it was. Like what's a success? I don't know.
Yeah, and is it like is it a combined thing? Like if you look at like the White Sox, right? If you compare their attendance to the Orioles, okay, it's going to be far less. So if you're the Orioles, you sit there and say, well, our attendance is better than 12. Like there's 12 clubs ahead of us or 10 teams ahead of us with attendance or whatever. Like I'm sure they're looking at all because they look down to the last penny, right? They look down to like the parking, the how many people are buying merchandise of the team, jerseys, jackets, shirts, etc. All that because we talk about it like it is a business at the end of the day. We as fans, we can sit here and be like, oh, that guy sucks. Why are they even giving him a chance? Okay, well, the organization got him for cheap, and he's a spot starter, and he'll give you 100 innings a year. Like, everything comes down to like that. That's what they did. The Orioles went and got Charlie Morton. The guy's like 40 years old. It's like, okay, he's going to give you innings though, and he's cheap. That's why I guarantee they sat around their table and maybe a couple guys were like, why are we doing this? He's old. Let's go get a younger guy with a bigger ceiling, a higher ceiling, and this and that. But Charlie Morton's a proven commodity and he's cheap. That's the thing. Like they look at like, okay, who can we bring in and get the most out of for the least amount of money? That's these teams. I even think the Yankees do that with like a Goldschmidt, right? Like,
Yeah.
they're trying to sell you that he won an MVP like 3 years ago. It's like that was 3 years ago. Like people act like that was this past season, and even that, like, it's he's aging every year since then. So it's like the whole notion of like the fan bases are like, hey, let's compete for like the Brewers, right? They get close every year. They get in the playoffs every year. If you're being real, genuine to yourself as a fan, how are they going to beat the Dodgers? Like, there's no way. I mean, unless the Dodgers implode, like unless the Dodgers beat themselves, come on, like you're fooling yourself if you think you're going to go up against them in even in a 7-game series. Like that is you're facing a mountain of difficulty. So yeah, I'm with you. I think the fans have a different expectation. The owners / even general managers and things, they want to capitalize on as much money as they can. So that if they can be consistent, like the Yankees are consistent every year, they're making the playoffs every year, they're selling the place out every year. Is that I mean, I think to a lot of people in the higher ups, that's probably a massive success because you're driving a big revenue, because then they look around at Oakland. Okay, we're not them. Okay, we're not, even the Diamondbacks when they were in the World Series, they were having a hard time selling tickets out there. It's like,
Yeah.
that sucks for business. So it's a shame it's like that, but that's how it is.
Maybe after all these years, Yankees fans have been duped. We spend enough money. The optics are good, but we know we're not good enough. Maybe we've been duped all these years. I don't know. But then on the other hand, like, who in their right mind spends $300 million a year every year and doesn't get anything out of it when other teams aren't are getting just as many games as you are? I don't know. Like, maybe it is Cashman. I don't. Maybe it is their system. Maybe it is their scouting, because it all has to come together, right? Like, at the end of the day, you have to have the right manager in place, and maybe manager not so much anymore. Like, do you think that a manager, Aaron, like, you're a baseball guy, I'm sure you don't mind seeing the odd bunt now and then. You're one of those guys, and do you think management has any, like, the on the field guys have that much of a impact anymore?
I do, because I'll tell you this. I think Rob Thompson on the Phillies is the most, like, maybe behind closed doors he's different, but that guy is like you might as well stare at the wall while you're listening to him. It's the most boring, uninspired, unmotivating type of stuff that comes out of that guy's mouth. And I often think, do the players take on that persona? Because you watch the Phillies sometimes, like Trey Turner's lackadaisical at short. Castellanos, sometimes it's like, you see that guy really awake out there. I'm not saying because it's so funny. They went from Joe Girardi, who, like, the guy flips out, nonstop 3 times a game, gets tossed, a couple times a week. But then you look at the flip side of that, like an Aaron Boone, he's kind of the same way. Like, he has that fiery attitude, but then he kind of coddles the players. I think you need if you have a guy in the middle ground who, isn't vanilla, like a Rob Thompson, maybe you don't have to be as, ape shit as Aaron Boone, but like this whole, like, we're going to coddle our players no matter what. I don't agree with that either. I mean, I think you need, like, I can't think of a perfect example, but, like, there's Earl Weaver back in the day, but that was a different time.
Wow.
Different time. So I don't think you could rip into players like that guy, and just the way he went about things. But this whole, like, everything, everything's fine. Our players are great no matter what. They come out and give up, 7. The starting pitcher gives up 7 earned runs in 2 innings, and it's like, oh, it's okay. He just didn't find his spots today. Like, why can't you say he sucked today? Why can't you say he was not good today and he has to be better next time? Like, there's no like accountability. And like I said, I just look at the Phillies, for example. I think this whole like, we'll be fine. There's ups and downs in baseball. Like you can't, they go into the postseason and it's like you expect to just flip a switch from that. And you saw the Mets. I mean, the Mets had all the momentum in the world. I think the Mets were like, we're better than you. And you're going to come out here and kind of take it easy. And you think you're just going to win the series. Like the Mets were like, we're going to show you we want this more. And yeah, that's easy to say and harder to execute. But I think a manager matters more than what people lead on to. And I think it's more so the way the manager, carries himself and kind of, treats the players. Like, I'm not saying you got to treat them like garbage, but this like constant coddling stuff.
A little tough love wouldn't be the worst thing. Like I agree with you. Like if a guy sucks at any probably the only job in the world where if you suck and you go 1 for 8 and whatever, and that's okay. Like it's just I think there has to be some tough love and the coddling of these guys and the contracts and the agents, and it all comes into effect, right? And it's like, what do you? I mean, if I was an owner and I'm giving you 30 million bucks a year and you start the season off 0-5 and your ERA is 6.2, and I'd be like, hey man, like give me money and I'd call him out in public, and if he's still butthurt about it, he's already 0-5. He goes 0-10, doesn't change anything. Like you got to try something. You got to do something to get these guys rolling. And now with free agencies and trade me right fucking now. There's the first F-bomb at 36 minutes in. But like it's yeah, you just enough's enough. And because I don't know, like winning. It's crazy to think that winning has almost become secondary for a lot of not the teams per se, but for the athletes. Because they're all about their own stats and their own contracts. And I'm on my contract year. Like how winning has become, you see how many guys change teams how many times, and just like what's your legacy? How many zeros? I mean, having a bunch of zeros behind your bank account probably isn't the worst thing in the world either. But like winning eventually, like I liked what Josh Allen said last week, basically saying like, what's another $5 million to me? Like he wasn't bragging, but he was like, if I'm not the highest paid quarterback in the league, I don't care. I'd rather have, if we can spend 5 million or 10 million or whatever on another player. Like to me, that was a pretty good comment. I mean, he still plays for Buffalo and he hasn't won anything, but it's to make that statement, I thought was pretty commendable. To say, you know what, like I'm here for the long term, and I want to win something, and that extra $5 million doesn't mean anything. You've said it 1,000 times. If you can't make 45 million work a year, that's on you, man. Like that's on you. And winning has to really take more of a forefront than it does. And I just don't think that it does a lot. Like a lot of guys, and I mean, I'm not inside these locker rooms. I have no idea, but just how much stats and launch angle and velo and all that stuff, it seems to be more on the forefront than it's ever been. And I see it in youth sports all the time. It's like, well, I was good. I was good. Well, but if your team lost, you weren't good enough. And I think that it's because it's that way in the pro game, it's trickled down into the amateur ranks, and you see like in transfer portals in college as well, where these guys just, I'm good. Well, I'm not playing enough, or I'm not getting what I need to do to advance my career, so I'm going to go over here now. Whereas guys used to just live and die for like if guys were from Pennsylvania, they go to Penn State, right? And they couldn't wait to play there. Now guys are like, I'll just go here now because I'm not getting my way anymore. And it's just it's odd the way sports has changed that way.
And absolutely right. I mean, and the thing that kind of popped in my head when you were talking there is, you look at, like you were saying, you can't rip, the managers don't rip players and this and that. And like, I think there's also like an organizational standpoint when they talk, right? Like if Aaron Boone got up there and he's like, Garrett Cole sucked today and he was awful. And then I think they're afraid of like, okay, now free agents don't want to come here because the manager rips up people. And it's like, what happened? Like, where did the train go off the tracks, to begin with, though, with this? Because, I mean, there would be guys like Lou Piniella, and he'd come out and say, this guy absolutely sucked. Like, in every aspect, he couldn't throw a curveball. He couldn't throw a fastball over the plate. He was getting, it looked like the home run derby out there. Like, there were guys, like Ozzie Guillen, that were just blasting their players in the media. And people still went to the White Sox. Like, that was when the White Sox were good. And that's when the Cubs, were pretty consistent under that. Like, So I think it's just it's a mindset shift. But then to your point, like, yeah, these players are kind of, they're told they're the best thing since sliced bread. So hey, if it doesn't work out at Penn State, we're going to go down the road to Michigan. Oh, it doesn't work out down there, we're going to go to Georgia, wherever it is, right? And it's so player centric now. It's not so much about if it's about Penn State or if it's about Oregon, if it's about how can Johnny make it to the NFL, or how can Johnny be in the best position to play every Saturday or every Sunday once he gets drafted. I mean, you even see it with like Shedeur Sanders and stuff like that. These guys are like, yeah, I'm not going to that organization if I get drafted there. It's like that you're so entitled. Like you're so, I don't know. I understand it. You're a great player, but like you always say, there's 10 of you behind, as soon as you're out of the league, there's 10 of you trying to replace you. So, or that will replace you. So
They will. Not trying to,
yeah,
they will. Yeah.
it's so centered around the players now. And I think some of these organizations that don't know how to win, they get freaked out. They're like, okay, like the Jets, right? They haven't won a World Series. They haven't won a Super Bowl since, the first couple of years of the Super Bowl era. And now they gave the key. Look what happened there. They gave the keys to Aaron Rodgers because he's the almighty, right? He's the Lord and Savior. He comes in, he gets, he makes the coach lose his job in the first 6 or 7 weeks, whatever it was. And then they completely fall off the track. The defense is horrible. He's not winning games for them. See, they're scared though. They're playing scared because they don't know how to win. They're scared. They don't know how to even figure out how to win. So they're like, oh, this guy's won a Super Bowl. It doesn't matter if it was 12 years ago and he was a much better player then. We're going to let him just run this entire asylum. And then it goes off the tracks. And now they're in a worse position. They've set themselves back years now. So yeah, it's all about the players. And if you think it's not, I mean, the Dodgers might be the exception, but they just get all the good players. Excuse me. They stockpile everybody that's good. And then they're like, okay, beat us now. It sucks. It sucks for baseball though, and I think that's a baseball issue more than an NFL issue, but baseball is doing nothing about it either. So
It is crazy how that all works out. And you just, what do you do? You keep, like, I mean, you aren't going to change it to sitting here bitching about it. I mean, wish we could. I mean, I have a lot of ideas to fix baseball, but yeah. Anyways, let's switch things a little bit. Get on the fun part of sports, Aaron. Like you talked about last night when we were discussing what to talk about today. It's kind of funny that, like I said off air, that the way you brought it up about favorite baseball parks, what you enjoyed, the things you like, promos you like, things like that. I started to laugh to myself because that's pretty much what goes through my mind all day, every day, is how to get people into Spit Stadium and what we can do as with the Lethbridge Bulls for merchandise and promos and things and advertising and players and this and that. And what makes your favorite ball? Like I think about that pretty much nonstop. Even when I went to a hockey game a few weeks back here in Lethbridge, and I was like, oh well, we could do that here, like transfer hockey promos into baseball things and stuff. And you guys have the Stormers right in Lancaster there,
mhm.
the Atlantic League, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it goes back independent league, Atlantic League. I
They
can't
bounce
remember.
like these minor leagues. Like who knows what's going on half the time, but and then you get to go to major league games, and they're on a whole nother level, and they don't need to have the between inning promos as much because they're the Yankees or they're the Phillies, so people just go right. I've been to a lot of ballparks over the years, major league, minor league, and everything else in between. What's some of your favorite ballparks that you've been to over the years, and some things, whether it be minor league things, major league things, or just in between? What's some of the stuff that you remember that go, that was a lot of fun? Like what makes the game day experience great for Aaron Riley, Brutally Honest Sports?
Yeah, I haven't been to nearly as many parks as I want to, but just the experience, right? Like you and I both are like baseball nerds, so it's gonna be a good time no matter if you're at, like you said, the Atlantic League. I'm not even sure what's the Lethbridge Bulls. What's that league called?
We're in the Western Canadian Baseball League. Yeah, is what
Okay,
it's what
that's
we're in.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like just like I said, going to see the Stormers is cool. But the thing I do, I guess, appreciate about Major League Baseball, at least, just because, like, I think Camden Yards in particular, going there, like that place is just so. Not that the Phillies isn't. It's just I think Camden Yards was really one of those ballparks that, like, it was kind of the new era of ballparks, and they kind of restructured things as far as how it's laid out. It's just a beautiful stadium in my opinion, and the field is so well kept. Like just watching batting practice has always been something that's cool to me. Just because it's casual, you really can see these guys hitting like tanks. I mean, it's just crazy. Like they don't even look like they're trying, and the ball is just flying out of the park. So in Major League Baseball, I'll say just kind of going to see batting practice has always been a cool thing for me. In the minor league scene, like you kind of alluded to already, all those promos are kind of fun. It's more family centric. So like if you have kids or you go with a couple friends, it's a lot more like late, like not corporate like, and you kind of expect that. And it's just it's a good way to spend an afternoon. It's not like going to watch football where it's like stressful almost every minute. It feels like, and people are kind of punching each other in the face in the stands. Like baseball is far
Yeah,
more.
if you get in a fight at a baseball game, you're a whole nother level of stupid. Like a whole nother level. Because yeah, that's odd. But anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're right. Because baseball is more like chess than football will ever be, right? Like it's a lot more laid back, and it's just, and the weather to me, I love the weather this time of year. As we get into baseball season, but like the minor league, the cool thing about like going to see the Stormers, like you can walk in there, and it's not cool for them because obviously they want more people in the seats, but you can walk in there like second or third inning, pay $7, $8, $10, whatever it might be. And you can like you'll be like 4 or 5 rows away from the field at worst, usually at worst, especially during like day games. Like if they'll play at like 11 a.m. there, it feels like it's like there's nobody there. But it's cool like being that close to and it's still a high level, even though it's the lowest organized level, like the lowest organized level. I mean, those guys aren't throwing the ball into the seats. Like they can still play. It's still a high, and they're still throwing high 90s, mid 90s and stuff like that. So just watching the game and appreciating, like, even at that level, like these guys are damn good. I can appreciate that.
Yeah, and like this, I shouldn't. I've told people around Lethbridge and like the game is not secondary. It's entertaining. It's good. But and the thing about minor league baseball and then Wood College summer league, I'm a part of here in Lethbridge, the game gets secondary. Like yeah, you want your team to win, but if they don't, well, right? And you're probably the same way with your team there. Like you just want to go and see a game and relax and have a good time. Whereas when you get to for some reason when you get into any football, whether it be high school, college, or the pros, like it matters. Like it matters no matter what level. It's at people go absolutely bananas. But with baseball, yeah, you root for the home team, but if they don't win, it's a shame, and you go home. It is actually that. Like you want it to happen. And I've told people all the time. I said like I don't care if the Bulls win. Like I'd rather they did because then more people come. But it's all the other stuff that's important to me. And like for me, my job is and it's crazy to think this, but my job is to make sure people are having a good time. My job is to make sure people are enjoying themselves. My job is to make sure people are coming back for not just one game, but for 10 more games, right? And then to make sure that they're enjoying themselves and then they tell their friends that it was a good time. If the team's good, great, because like no matter like hockey and like especially at the professional level because it gets so expensive, nobody's going to be paying money to watch the home team lose at those high levels. Whereas like with the Stormers and with the Bulls, like it's an affordable thing to go to, and like that, and it's 3 hours of your night and whatever, right? And it's the fun stuff that makes people go. Like it doesn't matter. You couldn't name how many games did you go to last year? Name 3 players.
Yeah, I used to really like when I was younger. I
Yeah.
was like really tuned in because I'd go to like so many games when I had a lot more time. But yeah, no, you're exactly like that's the thing. Like you can sit there and enjoy it and not, like you said. I mean, you don't have to. It's not the end of the world, right? It's not like you go to a Penn State game. It's like if they lose, it's like forget it. You know what I mean? It's
Like your night's
uh,
ruined. Like
yeah,
I've seen it. Like I went go to USC games and people are all having a good time and then USC loses and it's like, well now what? You know, it's so odd that people. I mean, I'm nuts like that too when it comes to Yankees, but I'm more realistic. Like, well, all right. still beer in the fridge. I'll be okay. Like,
No, you're exactly, and that's the thing too. Even with like the pro level, like you go see the Yankees, even if they lost to the Red Sox on a, go ahead home run or whatever it might be. Okay, you got 161 more of these. Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like that's the beauty about baseball. Like it's you can just take it in for what it is. Like it doesn't have to be more than what it like football and college especially. And I love college football for that reason. It's the complete opposite. But it's like you lose one game, it's like, oh damn, like there went my
There's your
natural
season.
talent.
That could be the season.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
And then that makes with college football like that. Like if you lose early, you better not lose again.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's why college football every Saturday means so much. And that's what makes college football so great is that 2 losses and you're like, uh-oh, like that's it. We're done. And that's kind of the same. And it's the opposite with what makes baseball so great. It's complete opposite is like, oh, we'll try again tomorrow. Right. All right. Well, that's like even like you watch players when they like it's quite funny when you watch professional baseball. You see that they just grab their bat and they take off and they go down the tunnel and that's it. They're like, all right, playing again tomorrow. And then fans take it harder than the players do. They're like, all right. And then you watch like I don't want to say little league kids, but American Legion guys or whatever, how they take losing so hard and coaches are freaking out and parents are freaking out. And you're like, they're playing tomorrow, man. Like you can't like no team goes 162-0. Like it's not a thing. Like you don't want to go 51 and 111 or 41 and 121 or whatever, but all right, well, we lost, and it's crazy, and like different. Like I said, it's that's the biggest thing is trying to find ways to like, and it's another thing that we try to do that I'm trying to do in like our organization is making sure that the players who are college level players and high level college guys, Division I guys, Division II guys, is to make them kind of be big leaguers for a season because this might be it for them too, right? And so to play because a lot of these colleges, like the colleges that have Division I around your area, they're probably playing today and it's probably 42 degrees. So there isn't anybody there watching, right? Like and the college baseball is getting bigger, but that's in the southern states where it's warm. But a lot of these guys that come up to Lethbridge, these are some of the biggest crowds they play in front of. There's a team up just up the road, and I hate saying their name, but Okotoks, they get 4,000 to 6,000 every night, and that's huge, right? And we're trying to get to that level as well. Like our place seats, I think we can shoehorn 2,400 in if we really have to. But it's getting those people to come every game. It gets a little bit trying, but giving these kids the opportunity to feel like big leaguers for a year. And like you said, when you were younger, you thought those kids were probably going to the big leagues next week, right? And most of them don't. Like most don't. Like if you're in these certain leagues, we have a few guys in our league that have progressed on to in the last few years into the minor leagues, and some might have a shot at playing the big leagues this year. But most get forgotten about. But a lot of kids think that these guys are the next Derek Jeter, right? It's quite and that's what baseball does do a pretty good job at in these smaller communities, saying these are the stars of the future, I guess. And they don't. But on the other hand, Major League Baseball doesn't promote their minor league guys. Like you don't know who half the guys are in these systems. Yeah, it's odd.
No, you're exactly right, and it even brings me back to like the days of when I played and just like waking up or like because you're talking like 42 degrees. Like there'd be plenty of mornings we'd hit the field wherever I'm playing, and there's dew on the grass and all that, and it's like man, like and then watching these guys even at like the level you're talking about or the Stormers, and it's like that's awesome, man. Like if you really truly love baseball, it's like you'll go see the Lethbridge Bulls and you'll think, man, like I do kind of wish I was one of those guys. Like that's the thing, like even because there's no such I mean, yes, there's minor league football, but no one like I don't think anybody watches minor league football and still thinks, oh, that's cool. Like I just it's not the same. And like with baseball,
I didn't know till 9:23 a.m. on March the 15th, 2025, and I'm a sports guy, that there was minor league football. I know there like the XFL and the USFL. I
right.
didn't know that there was minor league football. I
There's
learned something today on the 1424 podcast. Fort Bear Sports talking a whole lot more. I did not know that.
There,
Huh.
well, in the states, like there's there's a city, it's the capital of Pennsylvania, Harrisburg. It's like 40 minutes from me, whatever.
Yeah.
But they have a minor league football team. I don't even know the name of it. And like, you know me, I'm plugged in this. Like no one talks about it. No, I don't even know if they exist anymore. They might have went under. That's what I mean. Like baseball, I'm not going to say it's outsells outright anything, right? Baseball has its own struggles, financially, and minor leagues are usually the ones that get the axe, if anything. But like just watching those guys play at like I said, even at an independent league level, if I'm watching like the Long Island Ducks will come in and they had Wally Bachman as their manager, former, World Series champion with the Mets.
He's crazy.
Like that. Crazy guy. Yeah, absolutely. But I'm watching him take the field. And I'm like, man, that's badass though. Cause it's, the guy was a major, a really good major league player, World Series champion with the Mets. And just watching those guys, like they still look fundamentally good. Like watching those guys play, it's just the game of baseball, even trickled down, is still to me. And maybe I'm just crazy, but I still think it's a really good product. Like I just, it doesn't change that much. Sure, it's faster, and the guys, you can turn a double play quicker, and they're hitting, longer home runs. But the game fundamentally isn't that much. It's not different.
That's the thing about baseball is everybody at some point, and I'm like not everybody. I'm not don't at me the world, but like everybody has played baseball, whether it be softball, slow pitch, baseball, t-ball, whatever it might be, at some level, whether it be Little League, American Legion, girls slope, whatever, kickball for crying out loud.
That counts. Yeah, same idea.
Everybody's played some form of baseball in their life. Not everybody's played football in their life. Not everybody's played basketball maybe in the schoolyard. Not everybody's played hockey in their life, right? Not everybody's been a gymnast in their life. But everybody in some way, shape, or form in North America has probably played some form of baseball, whether it be mixed slow pitch on the beer league field, whatever. And everybody's kind of made that play. Everybody's made a catch. Everybody's got a base the hit, and everybody it's so relatable to and this is maybe because I'm a baseball nerd, like you said, but it's baseball is so much more relatable to people than and it's something you can see and something that you've done. The guys that are twirling around the ice going a million miles an hour, that's not relatable. Like it's just not. Like I played at a high level hockey 150 years ago, but to a lot of people, they don't. It's just not relatable because you just like the skill level is just like I don't know what the heck's going on here. Like it's crazy and how fast it is. But baseball is so relatable, and that's why I think that and people do like it's fun to watch a game. Like last year, especially my first year with the Bulls, how people like it's a dance. So the way the game, like the first 3 innings go pretty quick, and you got your beer and your hot dog, and you're going, and then the next 3 is kind of slow, and then all of a sudden the last 7, 8, 9, the game's close, and then people are excited, and then when they're leaving, they're smiling and having a good time. And that's the dance and the great thing about baseball is that it has that kind of a swirl to it. It's it's great to be a part of, and just different like we try a million different promotions a year, and some work and some don't, but it's you just hope that they all do, and then it's just like I said, it's just all the stuff that goes behind the scenes in the like we call ourselves a minor league team. It's not professional, but it's we're minor league kind of a team, but it's just the different things you try to work into it, and at the end of the day, like most people have a good time. Like when the worst thing that happens with us, if the concession lines are too long, oh well, nothing we can do about that. Well, there is a few things I'm going to implement this season, but no, it's such a dance. It's so great, and it's just always there's always a play that could happen. There's the home run that could happen, and they not on the edge of your seat. You could be leaning back, but by the seventh, eighth, ninth, like all of a sudden a wild pitch could score a winning run. So you don't really. I think I've talked about lots of people how you don't really have to pay attention during a baseball game until you hear the crack of the bat or whatever. Then okay, you turn your head because you have 43 different conversations with whoever's around you, and it's fun that way. And like going to games, it doesn't matter what level it's at. It's always a fun time, in my opinion. Like it's just, and I don't like it doesn't cost much, and the rest of it. Like it's not like you're spending like to sit in the President's Suite or whatever it's called, the Legend Suite at Yankee Stadium is $800. Yeah, you're sure you get all the crowd legs you can eat, but it's still $800, right? Like it's no.
That has to be like bucket. Like if I'm Brent Radlinsky, right? That's got to be bucket list though. To do that, like just to do that once has got to be.
I did it. What year was it?
That's
2015 2015. I've done it twice actually. 2015, I was there by myself, and I was sitting across the street having a few beers, and maybe my thumbs were a little bit more active on the old phone because I had a couple in me at that point. But then a couple years later, in 2017, I'm down there with my brother Mike, and it was a Friday afternoon game of all things. Like why there's a Friday afternoon game, I have no idea, but whatever. And they were playing Toronto near the end of the season, and that was actually the last weekend of the season. So we were sitting in, of course, the tavern having a few beers at, I don't know, 11 in the morning, and uh, just scrolling through SeatGeek or StubHub or whatever it was, and I saw that there was 2 Legend Suite ticket for $350 each. I went, oh yeah, I said, because we're gonna eat all this and then some. Like it was so, but it was well, like it's awesome. Like it was, you can't do it every game, but it's pretty awesome. Like the
I was gonna say, as a Yankees
food
fan,
and
like
everything.
just like
Yeah,
I remember growing up, my dad, the company he was working for at the time wasn't too far from Philly, and we got to sit. It was like Kershaw's rookie year. That shows you how
yeah.
long ago that was. But we got to sit in the Phillies box, and I was like, because air
Wow.
conditioning. I mean, I'm sure it's not Yankee Stadium, but
Well, I'm sure it's
it's
still pretty nice.
it's not bad, like, and you just kind of like, wow, this is like, it's the major leagues, but this is like the major leagues of experience, as far as like, it's air conditioned, you're going in and out air conditioning, you got your own bathroom kind of deal, because it's, everybody in the box can use it's just a lot different. Excuse me. And like I've sat in the outfield of Camden Yards. Like I've kind of done it all. I mean, I'll do any experience at the ballpark is fun, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's got to be something else, because Yankee State, like I know their class, like class of the class. So that's got to be cool. Like I said, because you're a Yankees fan, I would think I would even consider doing that for the right price, because just the experience is like, wow, like it's got to be.
Yeah,
And unlimited food is, I'm sold there too. So
it was something. It was funny about the I don't know, about the third or fourth inning. My phone started buzzing because people started, like, from back home were starting to watch the game, and was it's out of nowhere, a guy I hadn't talked to in probably 2 years. He sent me a text message. Can you put a hat on? The glare is killing me off your head. I was like, yeah. Asshole, whatever, but it was funny. Aaron, you mentioned, we'll get end this pretty quick here, but you mentioned when you went to Camden Yards, how the playing surface is just immaculate, right? And like, and then an old baseball guy from around here, he talks about, like, that's the first thing he notices wherever he goes to. He's coached the college team here, and that's the first thing he notices when the playing field it's just pristine and immaculate. Other than that, like, what's something that, like, you go, Jesus, like you walk into a ballpark or major leagues, minor leagues, something, you go, this is pretty great.
there's a lot. I think, like you said, like kind of the playing surface is one thing. I think, just as corny as this might sound or whatever it might be, just like hearing the crack of the bat in person is
Yeah,
different. Especially like in batting practice, those guys are just ripping it. So it's just like I can appreciate, and I think that's what baseball does such a good job at, is like football is like boom in your face and this and that, and it's good for that, right? It's dramatic in that fashion. But baseball, it's like all the little things, right? It's just, you know guys throwing catch before the game, and just the pop of the glove. You go see a guy in the bullpen, and the glove is like popping. I mean, they're throwing, and the ball is boom boom, like it just looks so, it looks so effortless. So like I think baseball, even at the minor league level, watching those guys, it's just the way they go, like how smooth they play the game. That's always been like a, man, if I could play at that, like just being smooth and turning double
yeah.
plays and all that, just all those little things. I'm like, I can appreciate every little kind of nuance of how the game's played, and how those guys, I mean, they're doing it all the time. It's their job, but it almost looks effortless a lot of the time. So
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, you see some guys, how they just, like, especially like big right-handers who throw hard, and how it's just seamless. It's crazy. And my wife, she gets a kick out of this all the time. She says a guy can throw a baseball, it'll go past a car on the freeway. Like how fast that's going from an arm. Like and how effortless these guys make it look. And even when a guy picks up at third base in a ground ball, a hot shot, and he throws it across the field 90 miles an hour. Like, how the hell is it? And effortless. And
and just playing all in one motion,
done.
yeah,
Like,
just
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, sometimes they end up over out in right field somehow. But yeah, it's just how effortless it is and how fast they can like his. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when a guy hit a ground ball to maybe to shortstop. They were pretty much just walking back the dugout. Now how guys are running everything out because you just never they just try to force that error. It's how that part of the game has changed a lot, and just how close some plays are. And it's just it's just but it's effortless how it looks. It's a thinking man's game. I still like I'll watch probably 3 or 4 games today, and it's just it's they're the the level of minor league baseball compared to major league baseball, it seems like such a huge difference, but it's not. And every player who plays at every level is like, man, that these guys are good. Like they're really good. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I'm not saying we had a standout player from our high school that went. I mean, he's still bounced around the major leagues. Cam Gallagher, I think he's on
Yeah.
the Guardians now, backup catcher. But like I'm sure if you put him in like the independent league, he would rake. But like even like let's just say like a decent high school player, you put him in like a league like yours or
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's not a cakewalk. Like they even starting at the single A level, like these guys have. Yeah, it's gonna be the major leagues pitching and stuff like that's gotten a lot better throughout the going up through the systems and stuff. But yeah, it's not an easy feat. Like especially like you watch fielders and stuff like that. It's not that much. It's really the pitching to me is probably the biggest difference. And hitting, like if you leave a ball over the plate in the major leagues, it's like 9 times out of 10 you're smoked. Maybe in minor leagues like 6 out of 10. So it's stuff like that. But
We're getting closer to all starting, whether it be the minor league level or the major league level, and I'm excited. It's a Dodgers world. Everyone's just living it. They're probably. I read some things this morning that people are actually saying, well, they may not win 100 games this year because Arizona is going to be better, and you just never know what could happen. But I mean, I would think everybody you'd be an idiot to not bet on the Dodgers if you're a betting person. I would think but the East is good. Like I think that the National League East is really really good, and those teams will kind of kick the crap out of each other a little bit because the Mets, the Braves, and the Phillies are all really solid baseball teams. And I don't know if the Dodgers I don't know if they're a lock, but I wouldn't put $10 against them.
yeah, it's hard to, right? I mean, yeah, even with their injuries, they had Flaherty out there. They were, but like you said, what you said, I completely agree with. Is you can never have too much pitching. Like I would load up. I would have like 10 plus starters because I mean, unfortunately for you, you see, Garrett Cole, Luis Heel already down. Like it happened so quick. I mean, and Grayson Rodriguez went down for the Orioles already. Like
Yeah.
boom, like it can be. I mean, these, like you said, these guys are throwing 100 plus and contorting their arm. Like it's a matter. It doesn't, or it's surprising it doesn't happen more often, honestly. So
It's only a matter of time. And I can't remember who I was talking to. I think the guys throw too much. I think they're taking, maybe putting your glove away for a few months every winter probably isn't the worst idea. Instead of just throwing in the weighted balls and all the things and stuff and like learn how to pitch. Don't learn how to don't be a thrower. Learn how to pitch. Greg Maddux probably wouldn't have broke a pane of glass half the time, right? And he pitched forever. So learn how to pitch a little bit instead of just throwing. That's an old guy get off my lawn kind of thing. Aaron, thanks for jumping in the sports bar again. It's a lot of fun as always.
yeah, thanks for having me, and look forward to we'll start talking when the teams really take the field and see how it all shakes out. I think like you said, I think you guys you'll be okay. Who knows? You'll be okay. You'll be a playoff team. That's I would bet
Yeah,
my life on that. But
that's all you can hope for. You get 2 more games at least. 2 more games, and then you never know. You get 2 more games. You get 2 more games and a 121 loss team, and nobody cares.
Those
Then you
bad
go,
teams
well,
though. Those really
try you
bad
next
teams, they got to figure it out. The White Sox and those. Oh man, like how many people are going to that opening? Maybe they'll have
opening
3/4.
day 25,000. The next day 450. Right?
That's a crime. That's a shame. I mean, you're always gonna have bottom feeders, but man, like some of these teams just don't try. It's
The Marlins didn't sign a guy.
nope. They
It's
lost.
like right near the end.
I forget the Phillies got a pitcher from them who's like one of their better pitchers, so they're probably gonna be worse. That's the thing. Like they didn't get better, and they probably got worse. So
We'll have to do something maybe next week. We'll do something most irrelevant franchises in sports, like because there's a lot of them. Like there's some that like they're not like I don't even know that they have a team anymore, right? Like and who their managers are and who their players are and who their star is. I don't like the Miami Marlins are probably the most irrelevant franchise in baseball. They got to be up there.
Yeah, because I mean, you make like Pittsburgh, they still have like there's storied tradition. Not that the Marlins don't have any, they have a World Series or two or whatever,
Two,
but it's like the Pirates kind of like the Pirates have been around so long that like people know who the Pirates are,
yeah,
Roberto Clemente, etc. The Marlins, it's like like and playing in Miami, people have I'm not gonna say better things to do, but people have other things to do, and then they built that stadium. I thought this might put them on the map per se, and I mean they put all that money into that you know lime green stadium, whatever it is,
yeah.
crazy looking on TV, but it's not convinced anybody to go. I don't think. I
It
really
has
don't
not.
think people care.
No, it has not. Most irrelevant franchises in sports. We'll do that maybe next week. Anyway, Sport 20 Sports Bar Podcast, 4 Beer Sports talking a whole lot more. Today's show is brought to you by SeatGeek. Use promo code 1420SEAT at SeatGeek.com. Then you save yourself $20 on your first purchase. And remember, everybody, it doesn't matter where you are, it's who you're with. Have a great Saturday, and we will talk to you all later on in the week.